Hey everyone, it's Bennett Forrest, your fantasy football commissioner, with the final weekly recap of the season for the 2016 ForrestLand MishMash Fantasy Football League. Of course, this is the Super Bowl recap, and congratulations to Baltimore Riot and the general manager Tim Mayer for sneaking into the playoffs and going on a nice run to win the championship. As you can see, a nice, healthy 29-point victory, 162 to 133. Of course, the icing on the cake was Dez Bryant, Super Bowl MVP. So, for anyone who followed the game, and I've heard a bunch of sob stories for people that played against Dez Bryant. So let's take a look at Dez Bryant and his MVP performance. Obviously, he's a perennial wide receiver stud, but this year he had good game at the beginning and then got hurt and had a couple decent games and, of course, a lot of touchdowns, but really didn't do much the last several weeks, but not as bad as people were saying. I mean, he had three different 20-plus point weeks, but, obviously one catch versus the Giants plus the fumble. I know people lost playoffs because of that. Decent day in Tampa Bay, but had the 2 receiving touchdowns and, of course, the passing touchdown, and that's the MVP. It wasn't the total difference because obviously we saw with Matt Prater and even without Matt Prater and without Dez Bryant, would have been a much closer game. So it wasn't technically needed by the Riot, but obviously it helps, especially when the final game of the week had like 5 participants. So the Baltimore Riot had did need it to some extent because he had Anquan Boldin only had 8 points, Matt Prater 3. So really, now that the more I look at it, Dez Bryant was the difference there. Ezekiel Elliott had a couple long touchdowns, had 24 points. Dan Bailey had 6 extra points. And it was back and forth. The Riot came in with a significant lead. Ezekiel Elliott's second touchdown got third and long to within 14 points. But ultimately it wasn't enough as Dez Bryant took care of business the rest of the way, and the Riot win the Super Bowl. So we have other scores. Of course, we have Tom Brady with his 23 points in the ass-kicking of the Jets. And just an overall solid performance all around. Obviously, Travis Kelce, I think he had 11 catches for 160 yards, so he could also be MVP. The reason I'm giving it to Dez Bryant is just given what was expected coming into the game and doing it at the end of the week. But Kelce was huge. Huge day as Kansas City stomped Denver. And then previous week, Darren Sproles was out, but this week, Darren Sproles was in, got an early touchdown. So a nice 162-point win. Third and Oolong is once again runner-up, only 133 points. Ezekiel Elliott did fine, but I believe Matt Barkley had 5 picks. He had 2 touchdowns and a bunch of yards, but 5 picks, so only 13 yards there. And Tannehill was out, so no choice. So a little bit of bad luck, as Tannehill probably would have gotten more points. But at the end of the day, the Baltimore Riot win the Super Bowl. We have, of course, the third-place game between the 2 division winners who each lost in the previous round. And Chicago Travelers, who had less than 100 points the previous 2 weeks, finally gets off the schneid. They get 184 points. They did what, of course, they were hoping to do in previous weeks, because that obviously would have won the Super Bowl had they been in the championship game. Blake Bortles had a bunch of points. David Carr, before he got hurt. David Johnson, who's been unbelievable this week, had 100 yards from scrimmage in every single game total, if you include receiving yards. So David Johnson was the Travelers MVP. And just points all around for the Travelers. They get third place. Injury risk, who was the number 1 seed going into the playoffs, they have a decent 146 points, but obviously didn't get it done, and they come in 4th place. So that's going to be it. Let's take a look at the final standings. We had obviously the final regular season standings, and then the final standings, including the playoffs. And as you can see, we have the Riot taking the championship. If you look at points for the league, the Riot was 4th. So by no means did they embarrass themselves. The Travelers obviously got the most points for the year, just didn't get it in the playoff round. And then the rest of the standings are pretty much to form. Even though the only tough luck really was Gallo in the Cartel coming in 10th place, but yet had the 6th most points or 7th most points. The Slim Aussies and the Graceland ended up right where they needed to be. So there you have it. We have the Baltimore Riot winning the championship. A couple people still haven't paid, so nobody gets their money until everybody's paid. But I will be sending out checks or even doing Venmo for payments very soon. And of course, it's up to Chicago Travelers to update the championship trophy book and send it to Tim Mayer down in Baltimore. I will get him the information, or Tim, if you could get me your address so we can send you the championship trophy. You get to hold on to it for a year. And of course, we'll be back next year with another year of fantasy football. Hope everyone had a happy Christmas, is having a happy Hanukkah, and of course everyone be healthy and happy and safe in the new year. Good luck to everyone's real life football teams, and enjoy the winter. I will be in touch about next year's season. Thanks for participating this year, and I enjoyed being your commissioner once again. Signing off for another year. Congratulations once again to the Baltimore Riot for winning the championship. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye-bye.